Woo! Welcome to Made in Bloomsbury. I'm here today with Grazina. Hi, Grazina.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you for coming on. Grazina, would you like to tell our audience quick bio? Tell us about yourself.
Well, if I did it very quickly, I would say my name is Grazina Klavinsky, and I'm a founder of ESG Simple, and we help businesses to understand climate and environmental frameworks and then use those frameworks as a competitive advantage for businesses. Now, this is very quick, but it wouldn't do justice if I just told you this about me. I had a wild journey to get to where I am right now. Um, I came to the UK without speaking any English, without a job, without work experience, without university degree. I had no family members here, I had no friends here, and did I say I had no money? Literally, that was the craziest thing that I ever done. And all I had, I had a one-way ticket to London Gatwick Airport. I had £160. That doesn't count as money. It's just some change. And I had a dream to work in investment banking, and I had this 7-year goal. Now, what happened is over the next 7 years, I achieved everything I wanted. I learned English, got a university degree, got a job in investment banking, worked on some amazing projects in HSBC, JP Morgan, Royal Bank of Canada, Royal Bank of Scotland, across London, Paris, and Toronto, etc. I was making money, the life was awesome. And then I entered the 8th year of this journey, and then I realized, oh, is this it? I feel like I achieved my goal. And is there more to do now? Like, what's next? And then I've gone on this journey to actually find what is it that I want to do long term. And that's where I found sustainability.
Fantastic. That's very inspirational. But now I'm wondering what inspires you?
So, what inspired me to go to sustainability? Well, I am I'm one of those people that I love doing so many things, and my toughest decision was to choose which path I'm gonna go. And I remember Ray Dalio saying to his son, "Son, you can choose anything you want to do, but you can't do everything." And that really stuck with me. So when I was choosing my next path, I said, okay, I need to be quite strategic here. And I basically came up with this 3 pillar framework, as we would call in consultancy. So the first question was the reason why. And sustainability for me was a cause that I believe in. It was something that I can help people and I can help the planet. And also, sustainability is actually the way I grew up. Because at some point, living fast life in London, you forget where you came from. But actually, I grew up on an organic farm. My parents are biologists and environmentalists. Most of my family members studied something to do with biology, biochemistry, environment. And we grew up with no plastic, eating organic food, working on organic farms. And I thought, actually, this is where I was meant to be. And so I came for this full circle to actually, and I thought sustainability is the way forward. Now, this is the first one. The second one that I looked at is, what is my skill set? Because it's all very good to be passionate about something, but is this where my experience, my skill set is? And can I help people and businesses within that space? And after a long, long journey and working with many coaches, I worked out that there are 2 things that I'm good at and that I love. So one is practical education. And when I say practical education, I mean hands-on, real education and knowledge sharing instead of just reading the theory. So that's one thing I like and I believe in. And the second one is helping people and companies to transition from A to B. So, when we see on social media, fitness coaches and they say, well, I transformed the person from this body to this body, and then you have these two comparisons. And I love that concept, but not so much about transforming, people's bodies and health, but more in transforming businesses, how they can be leaner, how they can be more sustainable, how they can go from where they are now to where they want to be in the most efficient way. And I love that concept. So I said, okay, I have these two skills. And then the third pillar that I also said is very important is it has to be what I do, has to be commercially viable as well. So, we live in the most expensive city in the world. If we really want to enjoy the city, it has to be commercially viable. You have to be able to pay the bills. And that's where I said, okay, this is something that is on the rise, and this is where I can actually help businesses. And that is sustainability.
Wow, fantastic. So you mentioned skills. What are the skills required to work in sustainability and climate change?
Well, because sustainability and climate change goes across industries, it goes across different departments. So every single skill is required when I talk about hard skills. So all the background knowledge about certain departments, certain industries, etc. Yes. However, that's not the most important. The most important, I would say, three skills. And then they are something that could be applied in any industry, but they are particularly important when it comes to implementing ESG frameworks and climate transition. So, one of those is thinking outside the box. The the beautiful thing about ESG and the climate that is actually so new when we talk about these frameworks. If you go and Google how to do X, Y, and Z, you'll get some generic advice, you'll get some theoretical advice, but you won't get the real how to do something. So you'll need to figure it out yourself, how to do it. And that's where the thinking outside the box, the creativity, the learning how to connect the dots, it's a very, very important skill. Second one is getting shit done. And I'm sorry that I swear, but it's literally we are running out of time when it comes to climate transition, and we just have to get on with it. And the role, maybe, if you are working in that in you get a job and then this is your job description, it's not going to be just your job description. You're going to do so many other things, and just it's all about just moving forward, getting things done, and then next. It's about having that can do attitude. I think that's very, very important. And then the third one is progress over perfection. There is no perfect way to implement the environmental social governance frameworks. There is no perfect way to transition to net zero. And it's going to be moving forward, getting things done, and making progress as opposed to finding the perfect answer. These are my three main skills.
Nice. What is your advice to those businesses that see climate transition and ESG frameworks as a burden?
Well, a lot of businesses do see that. They see it as expensive exercise, and something that is outside of their expertise, outside of what they do. Now, I see it slightly differently. So I see it as an opportunity. I see it as a competitive edge. And if the business wants to survive another 10, 20, 30 years, I believe that every business will have to be a sustainability business. And when I say sustainability is whatever industry you're in, sustainability is part of your engine, part of what you do. Now, I have four reasons why sustainability can be a competitive edge for a business. So the first one is if you are borrowing money as a business from a bank, if you are in line with the ESG frameworks, if you are a sustainable, genuinely sustainable business, your cost of borrowing should either stay the same or should go down. But if you are not in line with ESG frameworks, the cost of borrowing will go up. And the reason being is that banks are being asked by regulators to embed their customers' climate, environmental, social, and governance risk into their credit default model and use that for decision making. So the cost of borrowing for those that are genuinely sustainable, it will not go up. One reason. So cost lower. Second one is if you are doing business with a large corporate, and I don't mean just Amazon and Google, they're all major manufacturers, etc. If you're doing business with them, and if you're a genuinely sustainable business, you will have more opportunities because you are part of their value chain. And for them, the same as for banks, it's very important for you to be sustainable. Because if you're not, they will, in the future, they will cut your contract if they haven't done so yet. I'll give you an example of Mars. So, you know, Mars bars, they have a huge business. So it's not just Mars, it's loads of other businesses. And they used to source oil from, and I mean plant oil for their products. They used to source that from, I believe it was 150 different suppliers. And then they said, if we really want to be on top of this ESG game, we have to reduce the number of suppliers. So I think they cut about 100 and they left 50, but they only kept the most sustainable ones. So if you are in a business and if you're doing business with any of the big corporates, you'll have to be a sustainable business. And that's your competitive edge. And the third one, customer. We as customers, if we had a choice, there are so many companies nowadays. If we had a choice, we would more likely to go with a sustainable company and the one that's doing good for the planet as opposed to the other one. I have an example of Unilever. So they have multiple brands, and they found out that their sustainable their sustainable products are doing 69% better than their not sustainable products. So if you genuinely have a sustainable product, it's likely to do better than if it's not a sustainable product. So that's the third one. Now the fourth one is use savings. So if you are transitioning to a greener energy that is cheaper and in the future will become even more cheaper, one of the other areas with the environment is wastage. We waste so much water, food, energy, so many things. So if you can come up with, as a business, with a way to cut all of that waste, again, you're saving cost and you're becoming much more profitable. So these four things, remember, this sustainability is not a burden. It can actually be very, very advantageous for your business.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you, Grazina, so much for your time.
Thanks, Michael.